Critics hated Tron Legacy. It has an abysmal 51% score on Rotten Tomatoes, and reviewers said that it boasts dazzling visuals, but its human characters and story get lost amidst its state-of-the-art production design. I disagree vehemently. I loved hearing Jeff Bridges talk about biodigital jazz. I loved watching Michael Sheen play this guy. I thought the father and son story was compelling. I like this movie, and audiences agree with me that it was a generally good film. In this video, I'll make the case for why Tron Legacy is a massively underrated movie. The film centers around Sam Flynn, who gets trapped in a virtual reality his dad created and disappeared into 20 years ago. There, he meets his estranged father and attempts to escape with him before time runs out. First, let me talk about what I dislike about this movie. Number 1 is Garrett Hedlund as Sam Flynn. He's not cringeworthy in his acting like Hayden Christensen in Star Wars, but he doesn't have the necessary charisma to hold his own like, say, Orlando Bloom in Pirates of the Caribbean. He wasn't horrible, but he wasn't great either. Number 2 is the climax of the movie. A chase to the portal for a big budget movie of this magnitude didn't feel like a worthy ending. Seeing the trailers for Tron Ares, it's clear that's what should have been the finale of this movie. Clue should have made it into the real world and wreaked havoc. But no, we get this somewhat lame race to the portal. He builds an army for nothing. Last thing here is the CGI they did for Jeff Bridges. It really doesn't hold up that well, and it makes me not take the main villain as seriously as I should. However, right now, in 2025, I give Disney massive props for taking a creative risk like this. Before Tron Legacy, there were never any attempts at making a digitally de-aged character a central character. It took the effects team nearly 2 years to bring this to life, and this film 100% pushed this technology into new territory. In a time where all Disney wants to do is make safe, live-action remakes, seeing them taking creative risks for Tron Legacy just 15 years ago is really trippy. Speaking of creative risks, how about that soundtrack? Daft Punk famously made the soundtrack for this movie, and the fact that this even happened in the first place is insane. So Daft Punk worked exclusively on this score for 19 months, putting off all other projects in the meantime. This was unprecedented at the time for a musical group who was at the peak of their career. Disney originally wanted to pair them with a traditional composer like Hans Zimmer, but nope. They ended up making the entire score themselves with no prior experience. I don't care what you think of Tron Legacy, that's awesome. A lot of movie critics said this movie is style over substance, but sometimes style is substance. The soundtrack for this movie couldn't have been any better. Daft Punk's aura and style fit the movie perfectly and gave the grid such a unique feel that you remember that world all these years later. In 2025, I'll be lucky to watch a big budget Disney movie I'll actually remember the day after I see it. Sure, the movie is lacking in the character and story department, but the world design is so darn good that I happily overlook it. Analyzing it in 2025 is crazy because we have more CGI worlds now than ever. We're getting Super Mario movies, Minecraft movies, Marvel movies, but somehow the world from this 2010 movie that critics panned stays with me nearly 2 decades later. That's more than I can say for 99% of the movies I see these days. But let's talk about the elephant in the room, the story. Guys, it's not that bad. Is it a little boring? Sometimes. But there is still a lot to love here. For one, let's appreciate Jeff Bridges, who can make monologues about a new race of digital beings that manifested itself out of the ether sound compelling.
Disease, history, science, philosophy, every idea man has ever had about the universe up for grabs. Biodigital jazz, man.
I mean, he really commits to the delivery of these lines here. I remember watching this as a teenager and not understanding a word, but Bridges' performance was so inspired that I was like, okay, cool, man. He's not phoning this performance in. He's giving it 100%, and I'm going to appreciate his great performance in a big budget Disney movie for what it is. If Jeff Bridges isn't great in this movie, it falls apart. But he is great, and his commitment and star power takes this story from potential garbage to pretty good. Also, Kevin is an all-powerful character in the story. It's fun watching him play God in this movie. The part where he comes into the club, puts his hand on the floor, and shuts everything down was super cool. Super campy with these lights ingrained in his hood, but super cool at the same time. Sam gets to see his father in his element too, something his dad promised he'd show him one day. Another thing I like is that this is a father-son story in more ways than one. Sure, it's about Kevin and Sam reuniting after 20 years, but it's also about Kevin's relationship with his other son, Clue. Kevin created Clue and gave him instruction that seemed totally valid at the time, to create the perfect system. The problem is, what does the perfect system even mean? Clue betrays Kevin in pursuit of this impossible goal, forcing him into exile. If you think about it, having a son is as close as you can get to making a copy of yourself, but on the grid, Kevin actually makes a clone of himself, and it's compelling watching that clone turn into a villain. I mean, how terrifying is that? Knowing that there's a darkness inside you that could easily turn you into a villain someday. It's scary existential stuff that's a bit dark and heavy for a Disney movie. This speech Kevin Flynn gives about the grid being the future of humanity, and this speech Clue gives to his army before the invasion felt eerily similar. This is good writing. This thought makes me disagree even more with folks who say this story is thin. It only seems thin because you might not be taking Clue seriously due to the bad CGI. I wonder how much more seriously this movie would be taken if they just made old Jeff Bridges be Clue without the de-aging work. That would immediately make the story more compelling, because now I'm seeing an old maniacal evil Jeff Bridges rather than a CGI character that can barely emote. I mean, imagine this scene where Sam meets Clue, thinking it's his dad. Imagine if Clue was old Jeff Bridges. Think about Jeff Bridges' acting range and ability to be evil on screen like he was in Iron Man. This movie would have been the Jeff Bridges show. It would have been a perfect opportunity for him to show both godlike wisdom and maniacal evil in the same movie, and we know that Jeff Bridges has the acting range to pull both of those off with flying colors. That would have been awesome to see. But because the CGI wasn't that great, I feel we take the villain less seriously, even though it is in fact a compelling story with a compelling villain. Another thing that's really cool about this story is the fact that minutes on the grid are hours back home, meaning Kevin Flynn has been in there for a long time. I did a basic calculation, and if 1 hour on the grid equals 1 minute back home, and Kevin's been stuck on the grid for 20 years, that's equivalent to 1,200 years of time that Kevin's been stuck on the grid. So when he sees his son for the first time, he's literally been waiting for him for over a millennia. He's this Zen Buddhist type guy who knows how to sit and wait for things to happen. It makes sense that a guy who's been trapped on the grid for over 1,000 years would be this wise and patient. He's not just a god in terms of what he can do on the grid, but in terms of his piercing wisdom that 1,000 years of experience and meditation gave him. It just makes his character really cool. This is what good character writing looks like. Through his performance, Jeff gives us so much color to this character. We see his obsession and excitement about the grid. We see his passion and regret for not being there for his son. We see his humility when he confronts Clue because he knows Clue's betrayal was his fault. We see the power he wields as the maker of the grid and the wisdom he's earned from waiting 1,000 years in exile. It sucks that we didn't get to see this same character depth to Clue just because the CGI technology wasn't great enough to properly convey that depth. Because Clue has also been waiting for over 1,000 years. His bitterness has compounded, his craftiness has leveled up. It would have been cool to see the opposite side of the Kevin Flynn coin properly represented on screen. There's a lot of interesting messages to chew on here, like how there's a darker version of ourselves just waiting to see the light of day, or how great intentions can lead to horrific consequences, or even something as simple as enjoying the time we have with our loved ones while we have it. One last thing I want to talk about is how much I love the action of this movie. It kind of goes without saying, but the action is awesome. The mind-bending physics of the disc arena with this awesome upside-down shot that looks amazing to this day. The drama of the light cycle arena, where one bad move will lead to your quick de-resolution. Obviously, the club scene with Daft Punk and Zeus, many people's favorite character in the movie. The world design gives these action sequences, which we've seen versions of before, feel new and fresh. But we also have to admit that we've never seen Disney make anything like this today. The risk-taking, design, and creative care put into this movie is something I'm not sure we'll ever see from Disney again. We really didn't know how great we had it back then. Tron Legacy isn't perfect. It's not Pirates of the Caribbean or anything, but it's a much better movie than the critics gave it credit for, and it's one I come back to every few years when I want to watch something cool, interesting, and dare I say it, pretty complex. What did you think about Tron Legacy? Let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. I talk about movies all the time here. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.